Disney classics, original shows, documentaries, and more. There's a new streaming service in town.
We're Andrea and Patty, and we are now streaming Disney Plus. Hey y'all, this is Patty from NoGuiltFangirl.com and No Guilt Fangirls podcast. You can find me on all socials at No Guilt Life.
And I'm Andrea Updike with Theme Park Parents and JustAsA4letterWord.com. You can find me at Andrea Updike on social or at Theme Park Parents.
Andrea, it's season 2.
Welcome back. Welcome to season 2, everybody. We had a little bit of a hiatus, and I think all of us are getting used to this new normal. So here we are, and I think we're ready to dive back in and start chatting about Disney Plus again. How are you feeling, Patty?
Oh, I'm feeling great, but let's be honest, we're watching a lot of TV right now. A lot.
Yes. That would be an understatement. It's pretty much on around the clock in this house at some point.
Yep. But the good news is, there's a lot of options out there to get some education in with your screen time. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, right?
That's right. We're doing the best that we can. So probably like us, most of you are at home being quarantined with your kids. If you have elementary or middle grade kids, you're probably pretty involved. In our house, we're trying to keep a little bit of a schedule, and it's less about learning and more about keeping boredom away. And what I like to say is we are having screen school because thank God for the internet.
I tell you what, I use this meme all the time when I just want to express my love for the internet, and it's Al Gore with this thumb. You know, he's got a thumbs up. And I'm like, yeah. I know the joke is that Al Gore created the internet, or he said that at one point.
Sure,
so I've always leaned into that. I'm like, bless you, Al Gore.
If there's nothing else, we have Al Gore to thank.
Absolutely. And that's not political. We just love the internet that much, guys.
That's right. I don't care who created it. I'm here for it. But so Disney Plus has some really great options for us who are trying to keep our kids busy, a little bit entertained, but also not just totally rotting brains. I mean, hey, rot the brains. This is a crazy time, okay? No judgment if you just want to sit there and watch Phineas and Ferb. I'm good with that. But there are some really good choices for documentaries, educational shows, and like interesting things that are both entertaining and a little bit educational. So
they are. And the fun part is I am not a big documentary person. I like them in small doses, right? My husband, though, is like uber geek, uber dork, and he loves those kinds of things. The animal shows have always been his favorites, right? And yes. My kids that's kind of their dad bonding time is they get together and they watch these National Geographic shows together and they're geeking out over things. And I'm like, that's really cool because while that's not my thing, not everything has to be my thing that we enjoy with the kids, right? So this is something that Rob has totally jumped all over. So these are actually some of his recommendations that he gave to me because, like I said, I have to confess, I haven't watched a whole lot of these. However, there's a few I've seen. And that's the problem is like, they're all really great.
Yeah, they really are. And, if you are waiting, like, I don't know about how things are where you are right now in terms of schooling and assignments, like official stuff from the school. We haven't really been given anything yet. Our district is working on that. So one thing that I've been doing with the kids is like watch this documentary and then write up a little summary of what it was, 3 cool things that you learned, 3 things you didn't know before. Nothing big, not a big
No, but it's a good exercise to keep them thinking and thinking critically, and then also to get them writing and practicing all those skills. So I completely agree with you. It's an easy option for them to. The thing is like most of these documentaries are actually, I don't want to say they're all funny, but there's humor to them, or there's some storyline to it that is, it's more than just the very dry, hi, this is the Grand Canyon. This is how the Grand Canyon was built.
This is not your mother's documentary.
No, these are good. These are good.
One we discovered last week that I had never heard of is actually from 2018. It's a National Geographic. It's called One Strange Rock, and it is narrated by Will Smith.
Oh,
which I was like, okay, this is cool. And the kids had just seen Spies in Disguise, so we were kind of in a Will Smith kick. Anyway.
Right.
And I was like, all right, we're going to do this one. And it's really neat because the story is about, of course, Earth, One Strange Rock, and how life is on Earth and how it came to be. But it's sort of from the perspective of astronauts. So it's like looking down at at this unknown planet. And so they kind of frame it as a faraway place, but it's, surprise, Earth, you know? And they really liked it. And it's a series, so there's several episodes, and we just watched one episode. They're about 45 minutes long. So it's a nice little chunk of time. Really interesting. And of course, the gorgeous, amazing National Geographic cinematography. So that was one that we discovered that I had never seen before.
Okay. Well, yeah, we got to talk about that. I sat down and started watching the Grand Canyon, which is, again, National Geographic, gorgeous cinematography. And the reason why I chose that one is I love the Grand Canyon. I used to live in Arizona. I grew up visiting family in Arizona, and it's just this very spiritual, beautiful, incredible act of God, you know, that created this incredible thing. And so I was kind of feeling like, you know what, we can't travel, right? And as much as I love all the Disney parks, which I admit on my list are a couple of Disney park specific documentaries, as much as I love all that, I also do really love to go to national parks. And so I sat down and watched this, and Andrea, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the first minutes are of homeboy is like on the edge of the Grand Canyon and you're watching his feet. So you're viewing from what he sees as he's like edging along the edge to, I don't know what he's doing. But all I kept thinking was, I don't know if I can watch this whole thing.
Yes, getting vertigo a little bit.
Yes, it was crazy. It doesn't last too long, but then it pans up and it's this beautiful shot, and I was just like, okay, I get why people are, they do crazy things in order to see this kind of beauty. But anyway, I just started that one a little while ago, and I haven't finished the whole thing yet, but it's amazing, and I highly recommend this. It's the equal parts of interesting and conversational, and there's a story to it, but there's a lot of lessons we can learn, people, about the Grand Canyon. So that's my pick for a really good learning show for kids.
Definitely. And my family is planning a road trip for next summer. We'll see if that takes place, but one of the things we want to do is spend a lot of time out west. My husband and I, neither one of us have ever been to the Grand Canyon. And it's a bucket list trip for us, and we've been waiting for our kids to get into this sort of middle grade age where they'll really, really remember it, and it can kind of be educational but still fun. And so that would be a really good, you just gave me an idea, like I should find all the locations we plan and see how many documentaries there are, and just kind of do a little bit of our homework since we're here.
Yep.
We can plan our trip.
I think that's perfect. Another National Geographic one that we liked was Science Fair. Have you watched this one?
No.
So Science Fair covers 9 students from around the globe as they're getting ready to compete in the International Science and Engineering Fair. And so these are high school students. So even my oldest had some skin in this game. And so that's another good one. If you guys are looking for just kind of blow your mind and see what STEM is all about and what's happening out there, that's a really good show.
I love that. I love that. Now, I have to say, and I've been a longtime fan of the Disney nature films. My favorite
One in China
of all time. Well, no.
Oh, I was just going with John Krasinski because
I do who doesn't love John Krasinski? I gotta say though, Penguins, which was I think just last year or maybe the year before. It is hilarious. So you were talking about how, documentaries can be kind of dry. Yeah. This movie was so funny. We saw it in the theater, and me and my boys were laughing almost the entire time. It was only a little bit more than an hour, and it was the best time. And there's a brand new one coming out called Elephant.
Yep.
And
with Meghan Markle.
Yes, and she's going to be narrating.
Yes.
So that's another one that would be really good for a study. I have all these ideas. I mean, maybe I was supposed to be a teacher in another life, but I'm like, you could do a coloring page.
Oh, you totally could.
Andrea. This whole little lesson. Of course, my kids are elementary school, but, not that you need to get crazy, but there are plenty of ways to make it fun.
So Penguins, the funny thing, my oldest, for whatever reason, ever since he was a wee little lad, he loves penguins, obsessed with penguins, still is. He sleeps at night with this huge stuffed animal penguin that my sister bought him at SeaWorld once. And so when you said that, I was like, you know what, we've missed that, but I want to watch that with Luke because I do think that he would totally be down for that.
It's hilarious.
Okay.
It really
It's
is
on the list.
so
It's
very
on the
funny.
list. Yeah.
It's got like just this really quick humor. They kind of follow this one particular penguin, and they give him a little bit of a personality in the narration. So it's like he's talking, but funny.
Yeah.
It's really good. I can't recommend it enough. It's so good.
All right. Well, the other two that I wanted to hit on from a Disney lover standpoint, if you are like us and sorely missing the parks and you went through the Imagineering stories and ate that stuff up, okay, if you have done all that, if you love Imagineering story, you'll also like Waking Sleeping Beauty and Disneyland Around the Seasons. Now, Waking Sleeping Beauty talks about basically, I think it's the 80s and 90s of Disney animation and how terrible it all was. Yes. And how terrible they were treated as animators. And I mean, at one point, there was even this discussion of not making any more Disney animation movies. Y'all, can you imagine? I mean, it's insane. And what's so cool about it is that all of these animators that now we know are as like these grand old men of animation who did the movies like Little Mermaid and Lion King and all of that, they're babies in this show. Aww. They are babies. So it's really fun to watch from that perspective if you're into that.
Okay.
The other one that I mentioned was Disneyland Around the Seasons, and this one's so great because I think it's the year 1965. They start off and they're basically going to talk about each season at Disneyland, and they start off with New Year. What I loved about it, the moment that just hit me, I'm watching it with Lucy, and Walt Disney comes on the screen. And she gasps and she stands up and she points. She was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, it's Walt Disney." And Aww. This is my little almost 9-year-old. She has this huge Disney heart just like I do. But it was one of those moments where I was like, Walt Disney is timeless. Walt the man, Absolutely. Like he still inspires and impresses and grabs the attention of children. And I don't know that she's ever seen any of the clips or any of the, at least not into this level where this one was able to show us a lot of Walt. It was also the opening. They cover the opening of It's a Small World at Disneyland.
Oh, how fun.
Which is really neat to see.
That's
so
awesome.
Those are my two. Like if you're big into Disney and you miss the parks and you just need to get some of that into your life, queue up those. There's also something,
I love it.
I'm sure you can twist this into a learning opportunity in some way, shape, or form, especially like I'm thinking with Waking Sleeping Beauty with older kids. Yeah. You can show them. I mean, there's all kinds of learning opportunities here, how these guys didn't give up, how they had to pivot, how they had to come up and be creative and come up with new ideas and new ways to do things, and how innovation should never die and never let it go.
Absolutely.
And all of that is part of your learning experience in life. So
I love it.
Yeah, those are my ideas.
I think those are fantastic ideas. It's a great way to pull the parks in. And if you haven't seen Imagineering Story, I mean, now's the best time to do that because it's another creative. And if we're talking about the arts, I just want to throw one last thing out there. Totally not a documentary, but Disney Plus has added a live recording of the Broadway production of Newsies.
Love it.
So if you need a little theater in your life,
which we all do.
Who doesn't, right? You can watch the Broadway production, which I think is awesome. And I know a lot of other shows are starting to stream on other places online, but I just thought that was the coolest thing that they put Newsies up there. And it's great for kids. And of course the movie's there too, but I love that they did the Broadway production.
Yeah, so that's amazing.
Those are a few ideas if you're looking for something to keep your kids occupied and want to feel a little bit good about it. I mean, hey, if you still feel bad about Screen School, just flip on the subtitles and then they're reading. So
they are reading. Well, my kids were even asking if they could start watching shows in Spanish with the subtitles
there you go.
Because they were like, look, we're reading and we're learning our Spanish. And I was like, I don't know if we're quite there yet, but that's an idea.
Hey, I mean, points for
creativity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that's what we have for you as far as Screen School and Disney Plus and how it can help you and your family carry on through this time. Guys, Disney Plus, it is where it's at. There is so much opportunity on there, not only for entertainment, but for education. And we just touched on just a few. There's so much more. So
there's so much more.
All right. Well, that was our first show for season 2. I'm so excited.
That was our first show. And I'm going to put some links into the show notes here. If you do have some younger kids like I do, I've got some printables for these Disney nature movies that you can use along with. I think I've got some for penguins, Disney nature bears, and some other stuff. So if you're looking for an additional resource, just click it, print it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I think we have on my site, I have Born in China and Monkey Kingdom, I think are still available. So yeah, we'll add those in there. All right, well, we will see y'all real soon.
Have a great one.